13 warning signs you can't trust someone, ignore at your own risk. Signs you can't trust someone. 1. They act strangely when certain topics are raised. The first thing you should pay attention to is the person's behavior, says Tracy Brown, a body language expert and author of Persuasion Point, Body Language and Speech to Influence. Can you talk about anything without them acting strangely? Brown says that if their baseline behavior changes when discussing certain topics, this is a clear indicator that they are hiding something. They might usually be calm but then become nervous when you start talking about infidelity, for example, or they might normally be lively and suddenly stop, which is a revealing sign that they are lying. 2. You've caught them in a lie before. Past behavior is the best indicator of future behavior, so if you've caught them in a lie before, they probably aren't worthy of your trust. People often don't connect lying with trust or distrust. Instead, we often want to find excuses or reasons for why they did it rather than focusing on the problem and the issue of whether you can trust this person. If you find yourself in a position where you suspect they are lying but aren't completely sure, try paying attention to the signs of deception in their body language. Brown says that pauses of 3 or more seconds after you ask them a question are a sign of deception. If they take a long time to respond, they are buying time to come up with something they think you'll like, or if they try to deflect your question with another question, it's because they are stalling. If they say things like they didn't hear the question you asked but you know they did, it buys them time to come up with an acceptable answer because the truth isn't an option. Be very attentive to signs that their words and body language are out of sync. If they nod their heads, for example, as they say, "I would never do that," you should believe the body language first because the body can't lie, but words can. 3. They are secretive about their phone. We've all had the experience of trying to sneak a peek at someone else's phone, only to have it snatched away before we had the chance. Chris Armstrong, founder of the relationship coaching company Maze of Love, states that if someone you're dating is hyper-protective of their phone's privacy, it's a warning sign that they probably aren't trustworthy. If someone is apparently doing everything possible to prevent you from seeing or reading these things, it's very likely they are hiding something. Naturally, the more you get to know someone, the more the wall of privacy should come down. Armstrong says this is what emotional intimacy is, and it's both healthy and necessary. 4. They lack self-awareness. Not all signs that someone is untrustworthy boil down to intentional deception. Sometimes, it's about not being reliable. Clarissa Silver, a behavioral scientist, relationship coach, and creator of the Your Happiness Hypothesis method, says one way to identify this is through a lack of self-awareness. Our behavior is generally consistent with how we want others to perceive us and how we perceive ourselves. Often, there is a significant discrepancy between how an untrustworthy person perceives themselves and reality. An untrustworthy person sometimes acts in the opposite way of how they perceive themselves. Take someone who constantly describes themselves as drama-free but is always surrounded by drama and even fosters it, or someone who might describe themselves as calm and peaceful, but their actual behavior might reveal them to be chatty and argumentative. It's fairly obvious, for complex reasons that only they understand, they are trying to create a perception that matches their desires, but it has no connection to reality. The discrepancy between their words and their behavior can often be quite considerable. Such disconnection should set off those alarm bells of untrustworthiness loud and clear. In other words, if someone is their own unreliable narrator, it's a red flag, so be cautious about trusting them. 5. They are two-faced. We've all experienced this type of behavior from someone before. When a person is with you, they are so nice to you, but the moment you turn around, they won't hesitate to criticize what you do and won't hold back from sharing juicy gossip about you. When you find yourself among their friends or people they are trying to impress, they won't give you a minute of their time. They'll act like they barely know you. This type of behavior shows that they are trying to get something from you in one way or another. Their interest in you is purely superficial. When they get what they want from you, or it's clear they won't be able to, they'll drop you in an instant. So, the moment you notice this type of behavior, it's time to run from the relationship to protect yourself. 6. They have difficulty feeling empathy. The absence of empathy is necessary for someone who wants to hurt or deceive other people. It's interesting to note that most untrustworthy people lack this essential emotion. An empathetic person would never knowingly cause pain to others because they can feel that pain themselves. Therefore, the ability to feel empathy acts as a brake on offensive behavior. If someone is capable of betraying a confidence or stabbing someone in the back, they are incapable of feeling empathy. They never take responsibility for the harm, pain, or inconvenience they cause others. The worst part is that a person who truly lacks empathy isn't even aware of not having it, as they can only see things from their selfish perspective. However, some individuals can simulate empathy on a selective basis, normally when they are opposed to something. This makes the trait harder to spot by observing how they treat those they interact with, particularly those from whom they have nothing to gain, like a janitor or a waiter. Their true self will soon be revealed, showing a lack of empathy, which should certainly be a cause for alarm in terms of a person's trustworthiness. 7. They violate confidentiality. Most of us have childhood memories of swearing to a friend to keep a secret, only to see them spill the secret moments later. Usually, we learn from our previous mistakes and correct our behaviors, realizing that confidentiality, when requested and accepted, is sacred. Someone who enters adulthood without having learned the art of keeping secrets is certainly not to be trusted. If a person is eager to divulge someone else's secrets to you, you can be certain of their untrustworthiness. After all, they are actively betraying someone else's trust by telling you, so what are the chances that your secrets will be treated with more respect? In fact, if you have shared private information with them, rest assured it is already public knowledge. Unfortunately, people take pleasure in being able to share juicy tidbits of information that were told to them in confidence. What usually drives this type of behavior is their belief that it will increase their popularity and the opportunity to brag about their close ties with others. Where there is a lack of respect for confidentiality, there is no hope for trust. 8. They abuse their power over you. Once you have gained their trust and they possess some personal information about you, this person might start using it to exert some form of control over you. This type of behavior often starts quite innocently. They will be super nice to you, even if it's false niceness. If you follow your instinct, you might feel that something is off in the relationship, and over time, your instinct will prove to be right. Pay attention to how they interact with others. Do your best and follow your instinctive responses, and escape before you are hurt by their abuse of your trust. 9. They are excessively charming. It's always a pleasure to meet open and friendly people, but there is a big difference between this and a person who seems to be excessively sweet and charming. Their behavior might very well trigger your intuitive suspicions despite their friendliness. Underneath that super nice aspect, there often lurks a traitorous streak that will eventually reveal itself. If you examine closely what is happening, you will notice that they constantly seek to know more about you but never reveal much about themselves. The typical exchange of information between new acquaintances or friends does not occur. Eventually, you will discover their true objective, but by that point, it might not be easy to free yourself from their clutches. 10. They are volatile. A very clear sign that you can't trust someone because they are unpredictable and not worthy of your trust is a person who can't make a decision and stick to it. Untrustworthiness can also be determined by how they make decisions. Being indecisive is very different from being volatile. It's a fact that most of us are indecisive when it comes to things like choosing from a menu with so many tempting options, and naturally, we all change our minds from time to time, even on important matters. The difference with people who are volatile is that you can never trust any of their decisions, no matter how important the matter at hand is. They swing between extremely different options. Their emotional state can be very unstable, and the outcome of their decisions shows a pattern of inconsistency. Not only that, but a volatile person will also make promises they quickly regret and then retract, with their irregular feelings, meaning they are never sure of the reasons for the decisions they make. They are more likely to be influenced by external factors rather than obeying their internal compass, because it is not strong enough to guide them as it should. It's not volatility itself that demonstrates you can't trust someone, an extremely fluctuating emotional state that translates into constantly changing opinions or the inability to make a decision and stick to it, however, means there is no anchor on which to base your trust. 11. They can't keep their commitments. Being late is one of the clearest indicators that a person does not value your time. A trustworthy person will make an effort to be punctual out of respect. Delays are inevitable sometimes, but making a quick call or sending a brief message is the obvious thing to do when it happens. However, if a person often shows up late without making any effort to let you know they are running late, or worse, doesn't show up at all, it's a clear sign that they can't be trusted to keep their commitments. If they change or cancel plans suddenly without informing others, it's obvious that they don't understand the value of other people's time or don't see the impact their actions have on others, or they simply don't care. In the business world, this is considered seriously unprofessional behavior that will undermine any trust. Among friends, it will become clear very quickly that this person can't be trusted. We would like to know about your experience regarding the topic covered today. Share it with us in the comments, and, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask them. We will gladly respond. Your like would be a source of satisfaction for us, and of course, do not forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming publications.